miniature social indictment that I have about this local school that I'm in around me will be framed within a logic-based social view and what I've observed recently. I mean, out of all of the struggles and successes within many friend groups that I've seen in high school within my sophomore year, one striking truth that I've realized with some, not all, but is big to say anyway, but must be mentioned. If we think of the school social hierarchy as an economy with currency, then popularity is the capital, attention is the basic standard. Many high schools don't often ever show this type of undocumented reality because people only experience it, but when people realize the truth, it's ultimately too late and eventually they graduate away. In this economic view of the social hierarchy, if we think of it as an economy, people who inherited wealth in the form of pre-given friend groups before high school, and others who successfully integrated into local friend groups, and that's good on them. They have their thing. The problem is that the people who work on slightly different mindsets and trade a little bit different socially instead of the typical bouncer, now you got a higher chance of being misinterpreted and eventually kicked away. It's a higher chance to make mistakes compared to those who are already entrenched within groups. The issue is that within this social economy, it's rigged from the very beginning. The very social currency that people fight for is only valid within these grounds, obviously, and the hierarchy social groups have giant monopolies on this, which I call big social. It supports those who have pre-groups, pre-established friend groups, and the ones who are successfully able to integrate, and gives less of a chance to people who work within different frameworks. Without a local social map for freshmen, at least, and for future high school students, they're either kept alone or labeled because they don't know what to do, they don't know what to avoid, and because of them, many social boundaries are often invisible. So once they step on it, next thing you know, they're already on with another talk with people. That means that no newcomers who have no idea how to run through this social hierarchy economy properly will be stagnant and not know what to do. People who come with established social groups, as I've said, compared to ones like me who work on slightly different perspectives and frameworks, can enter certain groups, but they may be niche and require special circumstances to find. That's why I got kicked from many common friend groups before. Although I do admit some of these kickings are partially my fault. It highlighted the difference between my framework to theirs in terms of interpretation and misinterpretation. As a result, hierarchy-based friend groups tend to rule over these 4 years, and partially this is why bullying and maltreatment tend to occur because of big social. And it's pervasive because it's covered under the excuse of teenhood, high school, small moments. That it won't last forever. They have a monopoly. As I said like 3 times already, I call these groups big social because they control how the information is driven around. Not all groups are like this, as I'd say, just clearing that out. But it reflects real life, obviously, because since I'm on the bottom of this social hierarchy, we don't got a physical friend group to cover for all periods within high school, and not everyone's going to cover all friend groups, but we should have one that covers most. And we're never taught how to walk through the lens of this high school. We're never taught how to walk through. It was just a basic introduction about the buildings around, but there was no social tutorial. As means, obviously, when I become an adult, I must also learn how to walk through the physical monetary economy. Thankfully, there are many get-rich ways online, although I think some are definitely illegitimate. But within high school, no one offers a how to find your social group tutorial or what mistakes to do or avoid, because in the way economics does, if you think of it that way. Because the social hierarchy economy needs people who are physically alone socially, because they're used as examples in high school for people who are entrenched within the social economy. They're often seen as weird or odd or given whatever label that doesn't conform to them to keep the different students in line. There are also social problems such as a rotator issue that I've talked about before, where a friend group mistakenly or falsely assumes that a person seeking to join is just visiting, when in reality they're actually trying to join the actual group. But the thing is that friend group keeps on moving around, no one ever realizes. Essentially, high school social economy never teaches you how to walk through it, how to invest in it, how to invest in your fit type of friend groups. It makes you walk through the shards of already closed over friend groups. It makes you walk through the hierarchy based ones. It makes you walk through ones that you don't want to go through. Knee jerk rejections, and more. And obviously, some of these walkthroughs are absolutely important because everybody must get their firsts in life, especially in high school, and lessons learned, obviously. However, we can't be walking through shards all the time. In essence, is that the social economy expects us to walk into school as freshmen socially, either with a given group or try to integrate into a given group that's later on, but that might take some time, and not everybody gets accepted into one. There's entry barriers that go to every friend group because everyone has their own boundaries. And if not, there's obviously not many places to go after that. If we operate on slightly different frameworks and we're seen with labels that to most common groups that would say that to us, although not all. The problem with that is that school administration within the absolute institutional level cannot deal with this. If we talk about ASB, if we talk about link group, if we talk about any sports, if we talk about anything that has some sort of power over the school, any other school-based activities, because this is a social problem. It's a pervasive one. It's one that doesn't break any rules. It doesn't break any teachers' rules, and it's one that administrators can't exactly track in terms of rule breaking. And the thing is that there's no tutorial. Most do this in high school videos or avoid this for given groups are either general or they're based on academics or too specific to one location. The very currency that the social hierarchy sits on is rigged because there's no invitation for group, there's no tutorial for any, and certain friend groups work on invisible social boundaries, so no one ever tells you where to go. And the thing is that once you get labeled, once you make a mistake, like, oh my gosh, now you're gonna get, now consequences are gonna happen, even though you didn't understand, they didn't understand. That's why, as I said, eventually we realize that you can't win using their currency. Social exchange rate relative to the intellectual exchange rate, relative to the personal individual exchange rate is different. And it's low and it requires extra modifications with certain groups to ensure translation. Is that the problem is that teens and people tend to misunderstand this very fast, and that's a problem. And as I said, I'm no prophet, I am no savior meant to rescue freshmen from the whims of this social problem. Rather, this is all based on observation and what I've been seeing over at least a few months. The thing is that think of it this way. school is transitional. High school, it's like 4 years. No one's gonna bother. Think of a train station on a waiting dock. If someone spits on you while you're waiting for a train, like you call them out, but you wouldn't care ultimately because you're leaving in 4 years. No one's gonna fix a broken set of benches near a train station because they're not gonna sit there forever, right? I use this metaphor, and that's the thing. And that's why these types of social monopolies, big social, even invisible social realities get to be enforced because of what I'm saying. And what's the solution to this? I know a lot of people would ask that. Since this is only 4 years, like you can't invest in this. At this point, like make your own group, find a group. I mean, even though that's probably hard, or start building your life in the small things. Find something cool. Go find a boyfriend, find a sport, find something to do, but don't expect permanence, as I always say. As I said, continue existing, continue being yourself. It is a symbolic resistance to the conformity that is around you, although not everybody around you is that. Live for you, and obviously don't waste these 4 years. Start investing in yourself now, publicly, privately. I know it's like preachy at this point, but it is what I'd say. And small or big, because 4 years is not going to last forever. Start building on it. And even then, I wouldn't want anyone to mock any of the people that I'm talking with, like big social, because they may not even know what they're doing. Unlike an evil corporate entity that knows what they're doing, like teens, like in big social, they don't know what they're doing. They don't even know that they are a part of big social, and they even misunderstand their own actions sometimes. And the thing is that they may truly not understand, or maybe be immature. So ultimately, I'd say just stay away from them. And the people around us who do not understand us will obviously label us, call us, mock us. I mean, this is only 4 years, but don't mock them back. This is no moral crusade, but just stay away. They'll have the excuses later on to say that they were immature or whatever. And but one careful note to say to everyone here is that don't use this video as an excuse for your own actions if you're at fault for a given problem. But then again, sociality tends to blur these lines, so every problem requires its own little observation. For the ones who still don't believe me, it's valid, obviously, but I have months of repeated observation that prove parts of these true, and I'll link those in later.